think that looks perfect. That looks, oh my god, let me retouch my lipstick. Yeah. Not me in my podcast era. Let me calm down. Okay, no, okay. So hi, if you're new to my channel, my name is Ronke. I do fun videos, I talk about mental health, and you know, I just like to vibe, okay? At this point, I just like to vibe. I started out with beauty. I do vlogs now here and there. First, before I even jump into anything I'm going to talk about, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the outpour of love, outpour of support, and the comments in that video, I'm not gonna lie, got me so emotional. Just knowing that we're all in this together is just such a beautiful feeling, and I just really want to tell you guys thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. I appreciate you guys for loving me. Just appreciate everything. So I just wanted to say that before I started. If you haven't checked out my other video that I did, you can check it out here. This is the video that I promised you guys in that video, which is the 32 things I've learned now that I'm 32. It took me a while to do this video. It took me a while because I recorded it in different setups. I wanted to make sure it was a podcast episode. Like, I literally felt like this was the type of information that had to be a podcast episode. So I needed to make sure that I did a YouTube video and a podcast episode. So that took a lot out of me because this is something I've never done before. And right now, I'm pretty sure my children are tearing up my room because I have no clue how I'm doing this right now, but we move. I felt it. I felt like this was time. I felt the energy and I was like, yes. I started doing things and creating content when I feel like, instead of just creating content because I feel like, oh, I need to create content right now. And it has been so liberating for me. And I feel like I am able to give quality content instead of just pushing out content because I can. His birthday is March 27th, Aries gang. We the best music. You know, technically it's like the new year for us, so you know, we gotta pop off. But yeah, so my birthday was March 27th and I turned 32. I was about to say 22. I turned 32 and I have wanted to do this video since I've been 31. I actually recorded a whole video when I was 31 and did 31 lessons, but I just didn't feel like myself at that time. So I was like, whatever, scrap that, we're not doing that. Now that I'm 32 and I feel like I've honestly been through so much more than I thought I would ever go through in life, I feel like this is the perfect time. So I'm just gonna let you know, since this is a podcast episode, and honestly this is the first podcast episode that I feel like I'm gonna be just really natural, just myself. You need an iPad. If you're not, I need my life together because I have an iPad. Hi, yeah, what happened? I wrote notes because I wanted to make sure I hit points just in case I got deviated, because knowing me, when I start talking, it's over. It's over. I literally will just keep talking and then next thing you know, I'm on 5 other topics and maybe I'm repeating the same stuff. But I also want you to know that in the comments down below, please share any knowledge that you have learned to add to my knowledge so that this video can be something that you guys return to just kind of learn about life. Honestly, we're all on this journey together. Literally at this point, that should be my slogan. We're all on this journey together because we are. And what that means is that we are learning from each other, and there are lessons that we're gonna learn. There are lessons that it's gonna take us a while to learn, but either way, for you to just be open-minded and even have the ability to try to learn is already a start. So early 30s, how did that happen? I do not know. In my mind, honestly, I'm still like 18, which is crazy to me because I'm really not, but not emotionally. Emotional age is different. I'm saying like I'm still playful. I'm still like, you know, I still feel young. I still feel hip. You know, I still feel like Gen Z sometimes. So, you know, when I'm thinking of 32, I'm like, wow, like I'm actually an auntie. Like somebody is kneeling down to me to say good afternoon. It's crazy. 32 things I've learned now that I'm 32. Numero uno, number one. Not everybody is gonna like you or agree with your opinions and beliefs. And that's okay. Let me tell you something. I have to expand on that point because that point to me is already hard hitting. I have to start with the hard hitting points. In this internet age that we're in, especially with the podcasters, yes, the podcasters, i.e. me, there's so much information and so many opinions, which is why sometimes you have to form opinions for yourself, and you have to form opinions within yourself about how you feel about yourself and how much you actually really like yourself, so that other people's opinions don't matter as much. Not saying you can't take other people's opinions, but you take them based off of what resonates with you, you know? So I had to start off with that one because personally that's something I'm still working on continuously, but I really have gotten finally to a place where I'm like, if you don't like me, that's fine. Watch your mouth. But really, it was very liberating, especially somebody who grew up as a people pleaser and always felt like I had to make people like me or try to do things to, you know, just not living very authentically. And just releasing myself from the shackles that everybody's gonna like me, and releasing from myself from the shackles that if I see somebody not liking me, I try to prove to them why they should like me. Immediately no. Immediately no. Number two, take a lot of photos. I think with Instagram, I started off taking photos and I do not regret it. Most of my memories in my life are through photos, and I'm very, very happy that I have those photos because they make you remember. You know, it's like you can't really tell your life story without photos. So take a lot of photos to commemorate events. They might not necessarily be professional photos, but I truly believe that life and how we live life should be commemorated because every day is a blessing. Number three, and this also is something that I'm learning myself. Every year that you turn a new age is actually a blessing because there's somebody that's your age that actually did not make it, like no matter how young you are. And I think that the aging process has just been demonized in our society because a lot of people just think like, oh, I'm getting older, you know, like, oh, I'm getting wrinkles, or, you know, all these things that are supposed to be negative. But at the end of the day, they're blessings because for you to live every single year plus one is, it means that God isn't done with you yet. And very, very, very essential that you understand how growing older is a gift and you should treat it that way every single year, even if you don't celebrate your birthday. To be honest, this birthday, I mean, now that we're talking about it, was honestly one of my worst birthdays, like the day of the birth. Yeah, March 27th, I was going through it. I think I cried like 3-4 times because I didn't realize I had the birthday blues even before my birthday. And I'm not gonna lie, it was rough. But after I got out of the little rut that I was in, and after I cried and after I felt down, I just realized life is meant for living, and picked myself back up and I was like, look, this is a new year for me and I'm gonna do my best to pour as much knowledge, as much wisdom, as much love as I possibly can into myself so that I can pour into others, you know. So, you know, life is life, but every year that you get older is a year to be thankful. That's what I'm trying to say. Be thankful. Number 4. Self-care is more than just bubble baths, lighting candles, and meditation. We got to talk about this. Actually, we got to talk about this. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm still trying to recover from not really being online, and then all of a sudden the shock of being online again. Self-care is not just bubble baths, innit? Like, self-care is actually the inner work that you have to do, you know? Let me talk like a UK babe so that you can understand what I'm saying, because it seems like sometimes y'all do not understand what I'm saying. Self-care is not just bubble baths. A bubble bath will help, But if you do not deal with those emotions, what happens is they come back to the surface. Are you hearing me? Are you catching what I'm throwing? Anyway, yeah, so before I go and get lost inside British accents and then the British accent and American accent don't go and mix together. But no, seriously, sometimes I feel like self-care is very romanticized, and taking care of yourself is also about putting boundaries, protecting your peace. And I know when people say that, you're like, okay, what does that really mean? It means that taking care of yourself, and I would just like to say also, isn't selfish. It doesn't make you a selfish person by taking care of yourself, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Okay, I know a lot of people say that, but let me break it down to you. Imagine this. Imagine you are taking care of everybody else and you're depleted. What is gonna happen is you're gonna snap at somebody because you're depleted. You haven't taken care of yourself. The best person that can take care of you is you. So taking 2 bubble baths a week and you're not actually taking care of your mental, like you're not actually figuring out how you feel, feeling your feelings instead of trying to process and intellectualize them, or staying trapped in your excuse me, can I help you? Being alone isn't a bad thing. And as an extrovert, me saying that, I feel crazy, but I finally started learning that being alone isn't a bad thing. Being lonely isn't even a bad thing. It's a huge and just the best time for self-reflection, for actually really thinking to yourself, like, do I really like this person? Like when I look in the mirror, do I smile, or do I look in the mirror and I'm just like, ugh? Or do I even avoid mirrors because I'm like, I don't really like what I'm seeing right now? Being alone helps you. It actually helps you learn who you are, so that another person will not come and tell you who you are or put onto you what they think you should be. So being alone and being trapped in your own world and creating a world for yourself actually also helps you be more authentic to yourself and helps you understand your likes and dislikes. Like, instead of being in relationships with people and thinking relationships with people is how you're gonna find yourself, finding yourself by being alone is how you find yourself. Being a nice person doesn't actually mean you're a nice person. I've started realizing that being nice sometimes is a way of manipulation. I did not realize that. I really thought that I was gonna be nice and good and have all these things in my head, but I didn't realize that I was just trying to attach myself to an outcome of how another person was going to perceive me, instead of just being myself, and whoever was going to perceive me however they were going to perceive me was going to be all right. I think that was something that it took me a second to learn also, but really being nice can also just be you trying to please other people, when at the end of the day, are you getting your needs met? Like, if you're not getting your needs met, if you're not living in your truth, are you really going to be happy, and are you really going to live your best life? No. Anyway, why am I sounding like all these podcasters? Everything that you want exists outside your comfort zone. Yeah. You see that comfort zone? That little box in your head that you compartmentalize everything and put everything and wrapped everything in a bow. Once you realize that the limits don't exist, and sometimes you have to be extremely uncomfortable to actually get and go after the goals that you want for yourself, you will be okay being uncomfortable. And I was not okay being uncomfortable for a long time. I'm the type of person who immediately I feel discomfort, I'm gone. See, that's why I cannot walk out, okay? Like, if I am walking out, okay, and I do 3 squats and the squats are really squatting and I can feel a little bit of pain in my booty, I'm stopping, because why would I feel pain? I'm working on that, but I'm also just telling you what I've learned. I'm still learning. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. When God said, "Thou shalt not lie," I think a lot of people think that God was saying, "Thou shalt not lie," just to other people. But you see, the biggest lie that people lie is to themselves. Thou shalt not lie to yourself. Do not lie to yourself, okay? This is something that everybody does without even realizing it. You see, that's why it still goes back to my point of being alone. When you're alone, be honest with yourself. What do you really want? What do you really like? Don't let another person's wants or likes rub off on you, and now you think that this is what you want, but you don't realize that's not what you want. Yeah, don't lie to yourself. Like, sit down in your room and actually figure it out. Like, what do you want? And no matter how big it sounds in your head, no matter how much other people try to discourage you from it, try to go after it. Just at least try. Because would you want to just live with the regret of never trying just because you feel like you didn't even go after it? Like, at least try and fail. Try and fail and get up and try and fail again. That's literally what life is. So don't lie to yourself. Figure out what you actually want. Figure out what you actually like. Figure out who you actually are without other people around you. Don't try to run away from your problems by drinking or any other vices, because the problems, you see what's happened? They will run after you. Yeah, they will run after you, and they don't just run after you small, they run after you and they will catch you, and when they catch you, it's going to be worse. And that's something I used to do a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I used to run away from my problems. But when I started realizing, like, no matter how far you run, the problem is behind you, I was like, okay, let's face these problems head on. Like, if you have a problem, admit you have a problem and face it head on. One of my favorite symbols is yin yang. And the reason why it's one of my favorite symbols is because there is good in the bad and there is bad in the good. Life is about duality and balance. So, okay, I'm also talking to myself when I say this. Forgive your parents. There's this lady on TikTok that actually said this, and I was like, that is a huge lesson that I would love to talk about. Forgive your parents, especially if you're African. I mean, not to say that, you know, other people don't have like parental situations, but forgive your parents, because most of the time our parents are in survival mode, or not even in survival mode, they are doing what is best and what they know how to do. After I became a parent, I think my views on parenting really changed, and I started forgiving my parents a lot more, because I realized that they really just were trying to do the best for us to survive, and to them it was their best. And you just have to understand that, you know, you have to understand that they grew up with different conditions, they grew up with different parameters, they grew up in a different age. You know, this is even Gen Z. Sometimes when Gen Z talks to me, I don't understand them anymore, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're not even that far apart. So imagine our parents are so much older, or even if your parents aren't so much older, they're old enough that they're in a different generation, and different generations do things differently. So forgive them. I think a part of forgiving your parents is really healing for you. Don't be afraid to leave relationships that no longer serve you. Don't be afraid to leave. Let me tell you something. No matter how loving somebody is, no matter how forgiving somebody is, if you feel like they have no place in your life, and if you feel like drained all the time, or you just don't feel good when you're around certain people, you don't necessarily have to cut them off if you don't want to, but acknowledge that feeling and don't betray yourself. Acknowledge that you're feeling drained around a person. Acknowledge that you're feeling what you're feeling, because when you acknowledge that feeling, you will be able to know how to act. And I really think it's important for you to have people around you that support you wholeheartedly and don't diminish your shine. And if anything, they build you up instead of breaking you down, which leads on to my next point. Please stop making friends because of aesthetics. Because we are two pretty girls does not mean we should be friends. What is your character? What are your values? How do you treat people? Do I even like you as a human being? Choose your friends based off of your value system, the same way you choose a romantic relationship. Your friendships are important. That's why they say birds of the same feather flock together, because the more you understand who your friends are and the more you figure out what type of friendships you have in your life, the easier it will be for you, because they can either add or subtract. You definitely want people to add to your life. Old age does not come with wisdom. Because somebody's older than you doesn't mean they're wiser than you. I think that you can always learn from people no matter what age they are, because everybody is learning at a different pace and everybody's learning differently. I think what really matters is emotional age. I think a lot of times we see older people or people who are older than us and they're not able to manage their emotions. And I started to realize that what really is the importance of growing up and being an adult if you don't know how to at least acknowledge your emotions. You don't necessarily have to learn to manage them all the time, but at least acknowledge your emotions, you know? And I think sometimes people go through life just feeling like they have to react to every emotion, me included. But at the same time, like, sometimes you have to understand that, like, because you're getting older, if you're not doing the work on yourself and you're not doing that inner healing work, you're gonna be emotionally immature all your life. And you're gonna have the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old if you do not try to manage your emotions. Give credit where credit is due, okay? If you get inspiration from somebody, especially on social media, it doesn't make you less than. Nobody is doing anything without some type of inspiration. Even if it's a dream, you still got it from somewhere. So give credit where credit is due. If you like somebody's aesthetic and you decide, hey, I want to also have this aesthetic, just tag them or even say they inspired you. It doesn't take anything from you. Like, I get inspired by so many artists, so many makeup artists on Instagram, and every single time I get inspired by them, I tag them no matter what, because I'm like, you deserve for everybody to know that you did this. Like, especially as women, we really need to always try to lift each other up. You know, the world is already hard as it is for us, and you know, by not giving credit to another woman that you see a makeup look or, you know, you get inspired by, it's like you could just tell her you're inspired by her so that way she knows, you know, because low-key, like, all the people online, not everybody knows that they're inspirational. Just letting you know, we still have our doubts, we still have our, you know, things like, oh, am I good enough, imposter syndrome, things like that. So give credit where credit is due. You are not supposed to be rich in your 20s, okay? I did not realize that, not gonna lie. I really tried to really power through my 20s, and I was like, look, I want the whole life. I want the marriage, I want the children. By 30, I need this. Actually, I never thought that, but I, you know, maybe subconsciously thought that because I kind of went after all those things. But now that I look back, I really wish I had partied more in my 20s. I really wish I had drank more and done some dumb stuff in my 20s, because now that I'm in my 30s, I'm starting to realize, this life is hard though. Let me just be responsible. And now I have children. There's no time for any of those things that I wanted to do in my 20s, you know? And I guess because I wanted to grow up so quickly, I was just like, oh my God, I want to be 30, I want to be 40, I want to be... Nah, enjoy your 20s. It's actually an amazing time of your life. Don't think that because another 20-year-old is like famous and rich, you have to be famous and rich. No, just live your life. Actually appreciate your life. Like, every day you wake up, try to figure out, like, what part of my life do I really like, grasp onto that, and just keep going steady in those thoughts. What do you want? Your pace in life is set by you. That's something I even had to learn, because the way I was moving, your mouth is moving rap. I was moving fast. I don't know where. We are all going to the same place, you know. That's where we are going. So why are you rushing there? Why are you rushing there? Why don't you just take your time? Like, isn't it crazy that, like, no matter how long you live, you're not going to be able to really experience every single thing you want to experience? So why not just try to take things day by day and do little things here and there that make you happy? Because this life is so fragile, you know. It's so easy to get swept away with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Why don't you just focus on now and be present in your life every single moment? Because every single moment counts, you know? Like, even the in-betweens, even those like weird times of your life where you're just kind of like, oh, I haven't achieved this yet, but I've also achieved this other stuff in the past. You know, it's like, take note of those moments. Those moments matter also. The journey is actually the destination. It's really about where you're going. It's about where you're at. Okay, I don't know what that song was in my head, but choosing a life partner is as important as choosing a career. And I'm saying this with the utmost love in my heart, but it's true. I think that I'm the type of person that when I learn a lesson is when I go through it. And I did not realize how important choosing a partner was, because I was just in a rush to be like, hey, I'm married. Like, oh, I've been with this person, I might as well get married, you know? It's very important for you to choose your partner wisely, because it will affect your life. Don't choose a partner just based off of attraction. Don't choose a partner just based off money. Choose a partner that is aligned with your values. Choose a partner that you know can build with you and is compatible enough with you to go far, you know? And those value systems matter, you know? And don't ignore the red flags either. Even if the red flags are pink, don't ignore the red flags. Everybody has their red flags, but pick the red flags that you can deal with. Let's say it that way. Pick the red flags you can deal with. Pick the red flags that are not really red. You know, they're like orange. You know what I mean? But no, really, just understand that picking a partner, a life partner, there's a reason why it's a life partner, you know? There are people who get into marriages and they prosper because of their partner, and there are other people who get into marriages and they don't. Life is a series of ups and downs, okay? There's a question that always pops up on my Instagram every single time I do a Q&A. It's like, are you happy, Roke? Bruh, yes, sometimes I'm happy, but sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm depressed, sometimes I cry. Like, good and bad emotions are a part of the journey of life. It's not just about being happy all the time. And I know social media has painted this picture where everybody's happy all the time. It's a lie. It's a lie. Nobody's happy all the time. But social media is a little bit of an escape. You know, it's kind of like escaping into a video game where, you know, it kind of is fun, you know? It's like, sometimes it's an escape. And you have to understand that nobody's happy all the time, no matter how perfect their life seems, no matter how gorgeous it seems. No, that's not how it is. So life is a series of up and down moments. So you always have to remember that when you're going through a low moment, you're gonna have a high moment. And honestly, I feel like life gives you very low moments to prepare you for very high moments. So keep that in mind anytime you're in a low. Waiting for the rain to go away, it's about dancing in the rain, something like that. I was trying to be very inspirational, but the quotes just flew from my mind. Life will teach you the same lessons over and over and over until you learn. It will. Like, it really will. Like, if you don't learn the lesson, it will come back around and it will come back around. And then after you learn and you actually start to move forward and try to progress, that's when you now be like, oh, that was the lesson I was supposed to learn from that. And you know, I think that life became easier for me when I started taking everything as a learning lesson, even though sometimes I have trouble still learning from the lessons, but that just makes me human, you know? Like, I think something that people don't talk about enough is like, humanity isn't so straightforward. Humanity is messy. Humanity is learning day by day, making mistakes, picking yourself back up, and just giving yourself grace to be human, to mess up and pick yourself back up, but just to know that you still love yourself through the process, because you know that at the end of the day, you are so unique and there's nobody else like you. And just that fact alone makes you happy, because like nobody else can be like you, you know? It's just amazing. You know, I think that sometimes when we embrace our own uniqueness, that's really where the beginning of self-love starts, when you embrace your own uniqueness. You know, like that one crooked teeth you have, or that little, you know, thing in your eye that you feel really conscious about, or, you know, that weird kink in your finger. You know, it's like all those random things about you that make you you. Once you start to embrace them, you start to actually truly believe and know how beautiful you are. Positive thinking and replacing your negative thoughts with positive thoughts is very important. I think that I did not learn that for a very long time, because I might have been like happy on the outside, but negative thoughts were always in my head. And once I started replacing the negative thoughts with the positive thoughts, and I started really trying to work on my mind through like meditation and really like trying to figure out how to focus mentally, that is when I actually started healing a lot more, and I started actually being more aware of myself. And self-awareness and being aware of yourself is really where self-love starts, because the more aware of yourself you are, the easier it is to know your value system. It's easier to know your likes and dislikes and things like that. Always ask for help. If you don't know something, always ask for help. Asking for help isn't bad, because it's better you ask for help and you learn something new than for you not to ask for help and then kind of struggle through it all, you know. I think asking for help is necessary, especially honestly when you don't know. You can do your own research about everything nowadays, but sometimes asking for help is also very necessary. And I know a lot of times with our pride and ego, we're like, oh, we can do it ourselves, we're so independent, we don't need nobody. But in actual fact, sometimes you do need people, and sometimes it's okay for you to ask for help. That does not make you weaker, it just makes you human. Again, going back to just being human and embracing the messiness. Now that summer is coming, I have to add this point. Eat what you want to eat, okay? All this whole diet culture and, you know, you should eat this, or, you know, you need to it's stressful. Eat what you want. As women, you know, I think, and I speak for myself when I say this, I had a period of time where it was all about like the battle between healthy eating and not healthy eating, and sometimes I would feel bad if I eat certain things. And now I'm just at a stage where I'm like, I want to eat what I feel like I should eat or I want to eat, instead of what I feel like I'm shaming myself into eating. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I have to eat broccoli because like if I don't eat broccoli, you know what I mean? Like, just eat what you feel like eating. Like, I give you permission. Always listen to your intuition. Hey, if I could write a book about intuition, I would, because intuition is something that needs to be sharpened every day. The intuition is the gut feeling that you get when you know something is right or wrong. Now, let's be real. Life is not, and when I say not, I mean not black and white. You know, there's areas of gray, but understand that by sharpening your intuition and by listening to your gut, the more you listen to your gut, the more trust you have in yourself and the better your decisions become. So try your best to sharpen your intuition and listen to your intuition, because the intuition is our way as humans of protecting us from harm. Just like how snakes have their venom or the poisonous spiders have their colors, humans have their intuition. So sharpen your intuition, use your intuition, because as humans, what we do have is our brain, and that part of us that is our intuition is very necessary. Healing isn't linear. And I think that most of this has to do with self, because these are lessons I've learned about self, you know? One day you're gonna be okay. One day you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm body, you know, I got this. And then the next day you're gonna be like, oh, hold up, I don't got this. Like, I feel kind of sad. Like, let me lay in bed a little bit. You know, I can't do this. I need to leave. I can't. And you just need to embrace all of it. Don't go through a hard time. You will not be able to appreciate good times. It's just like in that Disney movie Inside Out. It's literally one of my favorite Disney movies. And in that movie, they like talk about the emotions and things like that. And they start to realize in the movie that sadness is necessary, because if you are not sad, you wouldn't know what happiness feels like. Happiness can't exist without sadness, and sadness can't exist without happiness. Your self-worth isn't tied to how much money you make or your job title. I think we are giving ourselves, as humans with souls, beautiful souls, your self-worth is not just your work. Your self-worth is your talent. Your self-worth is who you perceive yourself to be. Your self-worth is how beautiful you think you are on the inside. There's this sound on Instagram that's like, the fear of looking stupid is holding you back. Yeah, literally, the fear of looking stupid, yeah, is holding you back. I remember before I became an influencer, and I used to clown people. This is so funny. I used to clown people that, you know, we used to be wannabe influencers and stuff like that. And I started realizing that the reason why I was clowning them because I wanted to do it, but I felt awkward doing it, so it would just be easy to clown somebody else doing it, you know? Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, no. It's not nice. Yeah. Don't be scared to look stupid. Don't be scared to fall. Don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to fall down in front of everybody. As long as you get back up and you go to your house and you cringe at that moment for the rest of your life, you're gonna be fine. Because you are gonna be fine. I said this in my last podcast episode. Failure is just redirection. It means that this one thing you might not do well in. However, if you explore other options or you learn from that one situation, you'll be able to redirect. And that's something that really took me a long time to get, because sometimes I used to think of failure as like a shutting down and like I'm never gonna go anywhere and just all this absolute. But I started realizing that without failure, there would be no success. Like, it's so crazy how everything goes hand in hand. Like, if you do not fail, you would not know how to succeed, because failure is like, oh yeah, oh, I failed at that, great. Let me learn from that. How do I do better? Keep moving forward. Life is hard, but if you just take it one day at a time and keep moving forward no matter what, you will get things you want. They might not come at the time you want it, but they come at the time that you need it the most. Trust me. This is also something that growing up in a culture, like a very cultured environment, I'm learning. Have an open mind. Be open-minded. Being open-minded makes you learn different things. And sometimes I feel like when people have such a fixed mindset, it prevents them from learning so much more, or so many things that they could learn but are scared to venture into because they're so limited in the way they think. Sometimes open your mind to different possibilities, open your mind to how other people think or how other people feel, or, you know, yes, you might not feel the same way, but just open your mind to it. You know, just opening your mind to other people's experiences, how they react or how they are, it's very important also. Respect people in the service industry. I have started actually realizing that we are all each other. The only thing that separates all of us is financial status, socioeconomic status, skin color, eye color, different things, but we are all each other. We really all are interconnected. And no matter how you feel like somebody is beneath you, because I don't really believe in the whole like this person's beneath you, this person's above you. I really truly believe that we are all equally on the same level, and everybody can help themselves, help each other in their own way. So be kind to the people in the service industry, because at the end of the day, they are here to serve you, but you are also serving other people in your field. So if you want respect, respect other people. Respect your waitress. Don't just all of a sudden, because you feel like you can just talk anyhow to a waitress, go and be talking anyhow to a waitress. Stop doing that. Respect people in the service industry. Okay? Be kind. That's basically what I'm saying. Now that I'm 32, I don't feel any different. However, what I will say is I feel more myself. I think I said that in my last video. And the closer I've gotten to myself, and the more love I have found in myself, and the more stability that I found in myself, the easier it is for me to do things that align with where I'm at and where I'm going and who I want to be. Like I said, I encourage you in the comments, let me know more things that you've learned as a person. I think that there's so many lessons in life to be learned. I think that not one person has the key to all the life lessons. These are just things that were important to me. Just a couple of reminders before I leave. I have a photography ebook. I'm going to link it down below. If you have ever wanted to know how I take my photos, how I edit, I have a very comprehensive photography ebook that it took me such a long time to write, but I'm actually very proud of myself for writing. So it's linked in the comments. Also, second reminder, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe. We're now at 200k subscribers, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. I love you guys. 3, I applied to Sephora Squad this year. So if you would like to leave me a testimonial, go to my Instagram and click on the highlights and you'll see Sephora Squad. Leave me a testimonial. I would love that. Thank you so much. Also, if you haven't already, there was one more that thing. Oh yes, the podcast. If you haven't already, go and check out my podcast, which is what you're listening to right now. Check out my podcast. If we're being real, I haven't started posting on the page yet, but I will soon. It's just there's so many pages, so many things. That's why I didn't even start a new podcast YouTube channel, because that would have been too much for me. So hey, we give what we can give. So check out my podcast. All the links will be down below. Let me know what other videos you would like to see from me, what other topics you would like me to talk about on my podcast and on YouTube, and I would love to do that. I'm gonna be doing a foundation routine, so drop in the comments if you want a foundation routine. Let me know. Let me hear it. If I hear so many people talking about foundation routine, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it regardless. So but yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in my next episode. Have a great rest of the day, and I'm pretty sure this has been like my longest YouTube video. My back is literally hurting me. I'm going to take off this makeup. I'm going to sleep. All right guys, bye.